This content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
No, isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill no
Wait
one.
a second.
Oh, no.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin versus the World. I'm SeptumSin. Today, we are going to do a rare video game review. It's rare because I don't have a lot of time. And games these days are long. A lot of them. So, when it comes to playing games, I usually play them about twice a week. So, yeah, reviews can be there, especially for the Final Fantasy Remake. Now, you can see I've got it open because I don't like to open and shut this very often, because the way they've got these set up is every time you open this, it does a little bit of damage to this box. So until I've beaten it and I'm ready to put it away for a long period of time, I didn't want to close it. Now, after this review, when I've showed you again what's in this box, then I will close it. So let's go over again what's in this. For those of you who saw my pickup, this will be a little bit of a repeat in that area. So, of course, this is the box the game originally came in, but it's got some, you know, some stuff in there. I'm not going to throw this too much out. Now, it does have a reversible cover, as you can see, where you've got like just this basic box here. There we are. If you want to know what the music is I got in the background, it's from Final Fantasy VI. I just thought I would throw some of that in there. Or maybe I'll put a little bit of Final Fantasy VII in here as well. So it's going to be some fun little Final Fantasy music around. So let's take a look at what we've got. Now also I'm going to be burning the soundtrack, but I'm kind of scared that they're going to claim that. But this is the discs. You've got a remake disc and a data disc. Now, this also has like a steelbook, so that comes with that. Now, some of the extras, of course, also you get like the Cactar and the Chocobo summons. And the Chocobo summons is alright. When you summon that one, it gives you a little bit of extra edge on some magic attacks. The Cactar is probably the most useful summons. I actually use that one almost all the way to the end of the game. So, of course, this here is an art book, which is kind of fun. You can see there. It's really cool to see a lot of design work and stuff. So this is just an awesome thing. It's a kind of a milestone throwing it together. And, of course, the soundtrack, which I will be ripping in the near future. So let's go ahead and see if I can, well, use my nails to rip this. Well, I can't, so I'm going to hold off. So you won't be able to see what's on the CD itself, but you can see it's a cute little 12-step on there. So let's go ahead and get started with our review. So Final Fantasy VII was made back in the late 90s, which is a part of the Final Fantasy series, which is up to 15 entries and a lot of side entries. Really, if I was to count it, 13 main entries, because 2 of them are MMOs, and I don't know, I just don't count those. Now, this particular one had a lot of milestones. It was the first one on the PlayStation, which, because it used to be a Nintendo franchise for the longest time until Nintendo kind of screwed up and decided to go with their, well, create the PlayStation essentially. And eventually just got them scared off. Now, this one was much darker in scope. It went more and more into the technological, futuristic sci-fi fantasy, and I'm still not sure I liked how that went. Now, otherwise, it's typical turn-based. It had a materia system, which was kind of cool. Whereas in 6, you had a magicite system, which you learned off of these crystals, like these magicite crystals. You learned the magic, and you permanently kept it. Here, you could level up the crystals themselves, equip them on weapons, and you had the magic as long as you had the crystal equipped. And that's how it went from there. This game covers the first part, which takes place in the city of Midgar, which I have a picture of, but let me see if it's on here. Yep, this one here. And that's sort of a dystopian city. And you are with this group called Avalanche, which is trying to save the planet through eco-terrorism. Now, there will be spoilers in this, but I'm going to save most of the spoilers at the end. I will give my rating before I leave this, before I get into the spoilers, but some of the spoilers do contain reasons why I give the rating I give. So let's talk about some of the greatness about this. I really do like the graphics. It is graphically impressive. The combat style is fairly fluid. As far as these action combat styles go, I think they improved upon Final Fantasy 15, and it's a heck of a lot smoother than the Kingdom Hearts type of combat. So that's pretty fun right there. It's very fluid. It has quite the challenge, and if you're not really interested in challenge, you can do classic mode, where it fights for you essentially, or just put it on easy if you just want to do the story. Now, there are places, I know one complaint people say is, well, there's no real place to grind. No, there's several places to grind. Really and truly, you're not grinding until you get to Wall Market, because then you can access Coliseum. And shoot, I got my people up to level 50 very quickly at the Coliseum. And level 50 is your max. Another cool aspect is the music, which is relatively good. I really do enjoy some of this, some of the mixes, though I have mixed feelings, and that's the thing. Some of these positives are kind of mixed. The story is fairly intense. I do like that they have kept most of the original concept together, and they give you a little bit more of depth of character to some of these. Like, you get to learn more about Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. A matter of fact, you feel a little bit more when the inevitable happens later on in the game, which I'm not going to spoil. I was going to say, some of the little extra side quests, I do enjoy that. I did think that they were pretty fun. I did most of them. I didn't beat Bahamut. I didn't feel like knocking my head against the wall too much, and I really didn't feel it was needed to win the game. And I might go back later on. I mean, little collectibles like the music pieces. And once you beat the game, you can do what they call kind of a new game plus. As the current level, you can go back through any chapter, collect stuff that you missed, go back, fight bosses like, say, Bahamut, do some optional stuff. It's just stuff to clean up. I've only got like a little bit to clean up. It's one of those I might even come close to platinuming. I actually beat this on normal mode. So again, don't think that, you know, it's a cakewalk. I mean, I had to strategize, but I'm also not any type of professional gamer by any means. So if I can beat this on normal, you can beat this on normal. So we've had a discussion about the good. Let's talk about some of the not so good. Graphically, again, I think that it does look spectacular in sections, though there are pieces that aren't quite rendered. I feel like they were a little bit lazy on some of the backgrounds, but again, it's kind of barely noticeable. Some of the remixes are great, but others I feel like I like some of the more orchestrated themes that they've done elsewhere, like what you're listening to now. It's not really the soundtrack you're listening to. You're listening to a different soundtrack, kind of an upgraded, or some of the original. I haven't decided what pieces I'm putting in the background yet, so you may be listening to any type of it. The combat system, I'm more of a stickler for the old turn-based, so I'm not sure I'm the best one to ask about this, but I just don't care as much for the action RPG style as I did the turn-based. When I like RPGs, I like to just be able to sit there, plan my actions, and go out and attack. I don't like to go, it's like, okay, juggle 5 things at once. Okay, you've got to do this. And though I do like it slows down for certain types of menu actions, the constant having to fill your gauge and fill your gauge and fill your gauge to do your extra attacks, it is annoying to me. Especially for things like magic, because magic in the game is not something that I feel like you should have to wait for. You're using MP anyway. You're using a finite source of energy, so you should just be able to cast spells whenever you want to. I don't know. And the classic mode is lazy. Just sets it on easy, has them do the basic attacking for you, and then once the ATB gauge fills up, you can then select whatever menu commands. So again, I don't think classic mode is anything that's going to appeal to you fans of turn-based RPGs. I also am not as huge a fan of some of the story turns. More on that later. So, there have been some very good and some very bad. And part of this really is, do you feel like if you're going to do a full playthrough of the Final Fantasy series, should I play the original, or should I kind of just upgrade to this? In some cases, like in the Resident Evil series, I say play the remakes. They get all the story beats right, you get a better feel for it, and I feel it's just as good a playthrough. I enjoy playing the originals, but if you're really more on an updated sense, it shouldn't be a big deal. But to me, so far, if I'm going to do a playthrough, I really don't think that you can skip the original game for this. This is more of its own thing. And I want you to think that. I also don't feel like it's all that left off. So again, this is kind of, it can be its own thing. You can get this and say, okay, cool. You know that there's a sequel coming, but you're not in any dire straits to continue either. So what's the rating that I'd put on this? This is an excellent thing. I don't really feel it's necessary, though. You could probably get the regular edition and do fine.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
I'm a Final Fantasy fan, so I really felt like I should upgrade to it. So I will give this one a 7 out of 10. It's a great game in many ways, but do I think it lives up to the hype that we gamers have been having on this game since they showed us that little teaser all those years ago? Nah, not really. So now, let's get into the spoilers. For those of you who don't want spoilers, you can end this video here. Of course, click that like button, subscribe, and of course, share.
I don't
don't want to go on a rant here, but America's foreign policy makes about as much sense as Beowulf having sex with Robert Fulton at the First Battle of Antietam. I mean, when a neoconservative defenestrates, it's like Raskolnikov filibuster deoxymonohydroxynate.
The hell does rant mean?
And we'll see you on the next one. Okay, all you non-spoiler people, all you people who don't want spoilers, you gone? Good. So there are a couple of things that did bother me about the story. I find these ex machina critters to just be annoying. I think that this inclusion, basically they've included these spirits of sort that are meant to keep the path of destiny afloat. And all that means is, well, if they couldn't figure out how to better insert an item in the story that happened in the original game, the spirits will do it for you. This person didn't get killed off. They wanted to have some extra edge there. They can just have a spirit come in and push them in the right direction so that the story hits the same beats as the previous story. They kill a character, and this is a spoiler, I think, so again, you've been warned. I mean, they kill off Barrett in this game. But because Barrett wasn't meant to be killed off, they revive Barrett. It's just now just annoying. I do feel that I don't know. I don't know if I like how they've gone with the story fully. I think it's great that they're fleshing out some of the characters in ways that they have before, but I almost feel like they've been lazy in a lot of points, and that the changes that they made were not really significant enough to throw it out to a new game. But I do feel that the changes were enough to say I just didn't feel like it was worth it. As far as like that, if I was to say if you could only play one, which one would you play? I would still say go for the original. If you can deal with the fact that the graphics are very, very outdated, I would stay with the original. It's got a better overall story. I feel like the system is a lot more efficient. I don't know. I just enjoy it more as a classic RPG. Well, I know this is pretty controversial. I'll probably get some haters out there, but to me, these are just my thoughts. They're not your thoughts. And if you love action RPGs, I'm sure you'll also love this. Well, this has been SeptumSin, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.